The note was folded 3 times. Zora's fingerprints were already wiped clean before she slipped it under Kenji's champagne flute. She didn't look at him. Didn't wait for acknowledgement. She turned back toward the bar, her white apron spotless, her heartbeat a war drum only she could hear. Behind her, Kenji unfolded the paper. Your fiancé sold you out. They're in position. The jazz stopped feeling like background music. It started feeling like a countdown. Zora had been invisible for 3 years. That was the point. Leklet wasn't just a restaurant. It was a cathedral for men who controlled shipping routes, political campaigns, and the occasional disappearance. The kind of place where a wrong glance could end a bloodline. Zora poured wine for these men. She smiled when they didn't tip. She memorized their conversations and filed them away in a mental archive that would make intelligence agencies weep. 5 years ago, she had a different name. A different life. She'd been an analyst with security clearance that could unlock federal vaults. Then a scandal she didn't commit wiped her record, her career, her identity. Someone made her the fall guy. Someone who still walked free. She rebuilt herself in the margins. A hairnet. A notepad. A uniform that made her forgettable. Tonight, she was anything but. Kenji sat in the center booth, the youngest chairman in Shinkwon history. 32. Sharp jaw. Sharper instincts. He wore a charcoal suit that cost more than most people's cars, and his fiancée, Mina, sat across from him in a dress that shimmered like liquid silver. She was beautiful. Educated. A lawyer with a degree from Seoul National University. She was also wearing Sheepa 21 perfume. Zora knew that scent. She knew it because 3 months ago, she'd smelled it on a woman leaving a federal building at 2 a.m. carrying a briefcase with a diplomatic seal. Mina wasn't just a lawyer. She was a courier. Maybe worse. Zora's eyes flicked to the corner booth. 4 men. Untouched wagyu on their plates. Jackets too heavy on the left side. Holsters. She walked back to the bar, every step calculated. Her hand brushed the polished wood, fingers finding the compartment she'd installed 2 weeks ago. Inside, a suppressed 416 Hong Kong dollars, a tactical headset, and a fake passport with a name she'd never use again. Kenji's voice cut through the room. Velvet over gravel. Mina. Darling. You forgot to tell me about the guests. Mina's smile didn't falter. But her pupils did. They dilated. Just for a second. What guests, Kenji? He held up the note. He didn't read it aloud. He folded it once. Twice. Then he placed it in his mouth and swallowed. He smiled at Mina. It was the kind of smile that made Zora's stomach turn. The ones who haven't touched their steak. Mina's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. Kenji leaned back, his arm draped across the booth like he owned the oxygen in the room. He probably did. You look pale, love. Should I call a doctor? I'm fine. Her voice was silk. Practiced. But Zora saw the tremor in her wrist. Kenji's gaze drifted toward the corner booth. The 4 men still hadn't moved. One of them, buzz cut, scar across his knuckles, met Kenji's eyes and didn't blink. Strange, Kenji murmured. I don't remember inviting anyone from the council tonight. Mina's breath hitched. Barely. But Zora caught it. The Council of Elders. The old guard who thought Kenji had gone soft. Who thought marrying a woman with a law degree instead of a bulletproof vest was a sign of weakness. Who thought the youngest chairman in history needed to be reminded what happened to men who forgot where they came from. Kenji stood. Slowly. His movements were liquid, controlled. He buttoned his jacket with one hand. Excuse me, darling. I need to have a word with our uninvited colleagues. Kenji. Mina reached for his arm. He pulled away. Not violently. Just enough to make it clear she had no say in what happened next. Zora's pulse spiked. This was it. The moment she'd engineered. The moment Kenji's ego would force him to make the exact move she needed him to make. She glanced at the kitchen door. It was cracked open. Just an inch. Enough for her to see the outline of a hand holding something cylindrical. A flashbang grenade. Kenji took 3 steps toward the corner booth. The man with the scar smiled. And then the kitchen door burst open. White light. A sound like the world cracking in half. Zora dropped behind the bar before the first scream started. The blast shredded the air. Zora's ears rang, high-pitched and relentless, but her hands moved on autopilot. She ripped the 416 Hong Kong dollars from its compartment, slapped the headset over her ears, and flipped the safety off. Through the chaos, she saw Kenji. He wasn't on the ground. He'd thrown himself behind a marble column, dragging Mina with him, not to protect her, but to use her. His hand was clamped over her mouth, her body positioned between him and the corner booth like a human shield. The 4 men were already moving. 2 flanked left. 2 flanked right. Professional. Synchronized. Council-trained. But they weren't ready for what came next. Zora rose from behind the bar, rifle shouldered, sight aligned. She didn't hesitate. 2 suppressed shots. The first man dropped, a clean hole through his shoulder. Non-lethal. She needed witnesses, not corpses. The second man spun toward her, reaching for his weapon. She put a round through his thigh. He collapsed into a table, sending plates and crystal crashing. The remaining 2 hitmen opened fire. Bullets shredded the bar, splintering wood and shattering bottles. Expensive liquor bled across the floor like an open wound. Zora moved. Low. Fast. She rolled left, came up behind the wine rack, and fired twice more. 1 hit. 1 miss. The 4th man was smarter. He bolted for the kitchen, disappearing through the smoke. Zora didn't chase him. She wasn't here to stop the hit. She was here to make sure it happened in front of cameras, in front of witnesses, in front of a room full of people who would testify that Kenji started a massacre in a 5-star restaurant. She turned toward the marble column. Kenji was staring at her. His arm still locked around Mina's throat. His eyes, sharp, calculating, tracked every movement Zora made. "You," he said. Voice cold. "The waitress." Zora didn't answer. She just lowered the rifle and walked toward the exit. Behind her, sirens wailed. Kenji shoved Mina aside and lunged. His hand caught Zora's wrist before she reached the door. His grip was iron. "Who sent you?" Zora looked down at his hand, then up at his face. She didn't struggle, didn't flinch. "No one sent me. I sent myself." His eyes narrowed. "You're the one who wrote the note." "Yes." "Why warn me if you're trying to kill me?" Zora smiled. It wasn't warm. "I'm not trying to kill you, Kenji. I'm trying to ruin you." Confusion flickered across his face. Just for a second. Then understanding hit. "You needed me to fight back," he said slowly. "You needed me to start a war in public." "A quiet arrest doesn't dismantle an empire," Zora said. "But a chairman who massacres hitmen in front of civilians? That makes headlines. That brings federal attention. That tears apart the Shinkwon from the inside out." Kenji's jaw tightened. "You set me up. I gave you exactly what your ego demanded." Zora leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The note was bait. You could have walked out. Called for backup. Played it smart. But you didn't. You had to prove you were untouchable." Behind them, Mina staggered to her feet. Blood trickled from her split lip where Kenji's grip had crushed her against his shoulder. She looked between them, her perfect mask finally cracking. "You used me," she whispered. Not to Zora. To Kenji. Kenji didn't look at her. His eyes stayed locked on Zora. "Who do you work for?" "Does it matter?" "Yes." Zora wrenched her wrist free. "I work for the woman you framed 5 years ago. The analyst who took the fall for your money laundering operation. The one whose life you erased so yours could continue." Kenji's expression didn't change, but his knuckles went white. I don't know what you're. Liar. Zora's voice was a blade. You knew exactly who signed off on that federal report. You knew because you paid someone to make sure my name was on it instead of yours. The sirens were closer now. Red and blue lights strobed through the shattered windows. Zora turned toward the kitchen. Enjoy prison, Chairman. She was gone before he could respond. Kenji didn't go to prison. Not that night. He walked out of Leklet in handcuffs, yes. But by morning, his lawyer, a different one, not Mina, had him released on a technicality. Self-defense. Unclear jurisdiction. Witnesses who suddenly couldn't remember details. The news cycle moved on. The Shinkwon stayed intact. Zora watched it all from a motel room 3 states away. She sat on the edge of a sagging mattress, laptop open, police scanner crackling in the background. The federal task force she'd tipped off had raided 2 Shinkwon warehouses. Found nothing. Someone had cleaned them out hours before the warrant was served. She'd miscalculated. Kenji was smarter than she'd given him credit for. Or more connected. Or both. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stared at it for 5 seconds before answering. You're persistent, Kenji's voice said. Calm. Almost amused. I'll give you that. Zora's blood went cold. How did you get this number? The same way I got your real name. Your service record. Your apartment lease. He paused. Your sister's address. Zora's hand tightened around the phone. Touch her, Anne. I'm not going to touch her, Kenji interrupted. I'm going to offer you a job. Silence. You're smart, he continued. Resourceful. You almost destroyed me. Almost. That's more than anyone's managed in 5 years. So here's my offer. Work for me, or I'll make sure every agency you ever served knows you've been operating under a false identity. You'll spend the next decade in a cell. Or worse. Zora's jaw clenched. I'd rather die. No, you wouldn't. You're a survivor. That's why you've lasted this long. His voice dropped. Think about it. You have 48 hours. The line went dead. Zora sat in the dark, staring at the phone. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear. From rage. She'd underestimated him. And now he had leverage. But leverage worked both ways. She opened her laptop and started typing. The counselor's name was Tokushi. 73. Silver hair. Hands that had signed execution orders before Kenji was born. He sat across from Zora in a dim sum restaurant in Flushing, Queens. The kind of place where conversations disappeared into the clatter of plates and the hiss of steamers. You failed, Tokushi said. No preamble. No pleasantries. Zora didn't flinch. I got him arrested. And released 12 hours later. Tokushi picked up a dumpling with chopsticks, examined it, then set it back down. The council is disappointed. The council hired me to dismantle him. I'm not finished. You're out of time. Tokushi's eyes, dark, unreadable, settled on her. Kenji knows who you are now. He's hunting you. And when he finds you, he won't offer mercy twice. Zora leaned forward. Then give me what I need to finish this. Which is Mina. Tokushi's expression didn't change, but his fingers stopped moving. The fiancée, Zora continued, isn't just a lawyer. She's his insurance policy. She handles his offshore accounts, his shell companies, his entire financial infrastructure. You take her, you take his empire. We've tried to turn her before, Tokushi said. She's loyal. She was loyal. Until he used her as a human shield in front of a room full of witnesses. Zora pulled out her phone, swiped to a photo. Mina's face. Split lip. Tear-streaked makeup. I took this 3 hours after the shooting. She hasn't been home since. Takashi studied the photo. Where is she now? Somewhere safe. Somewhere Kenji can't reach her. Zora pocketed the phone. But she'll talk. If you give me the leverage I need. What leverage? Proof that Kenji framed me 5 years ago. Documents. Recordings. Anything that ties him to the federal case. Takashi was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached into his coat and pulled out a flash drive. He set it on the table between them. Everything you need is on here, he said. But understand this. If you use it, you're declaring war on a man who has survived 6 assassination attempts. A man who has federal judges in his pocket. A man who will burn your entire world to ash before he lets you win. Zora picked up the flash drive. Good. I'm counting on it. Mina sat in a safe house in Jersey City, staring at the flash drive like it was a live grenade. Zora sat across from her, silent, waiting. He loved me, Mina whispered. Her voice was hollow. I thought he loved me. He loved what you could do for him, Zora said. There's a difference. Mina's hands trembled. She'd been crying for hours. Her perfect composure, the silk dresses, the law degree, the practiced smile, had shattered the moment Kenji shoved her in front of a bullet meant for him. I handled everything, Mina continued. His accounts. His investments. I made him untouchable. And her voice broke. He used me as a shield. Zora didn't offer comfort. Comfort wouldn't save either of them. The files on that drive, Zora said, prove Kenji orchestrated a federal fraud case 5 years ago. He framed me. Destroyed my career. My life. If you testify, if you hand over his financial records, we can bury him. They'll kill me. They'll try. Zora leaned forward. But I can get you immunity. Witness protection. A new name. A new life. Mina laughed. It was a broken sound. You think the council will let me walk away? You think Kenji will? I think you have 2 choices, Zora said. You can stay loyal to a man who proved you're disposable. Or you can burn him down and walk away free. Mina stared at the flash drive. Her jaw tightened. Then she picked it up. What do you need me to do? Zora's phone buzzed before she could answer. She glanced at the screen. Unknown number. Again. She answered. What? Zora. Kenji's voice. But different this time. Tighter. Urgent. We need to talk. We have nothing to. The council just tried to kill me. Again. His breath was sharp. Labored. They sent a team to my penthouse. 6 men. Professional. I barely made it out. Zora's eyes flicked to Mina. The other woman had gone pale. Why are you telling me this? Zora asked. Because whoever you're working with just escalated. And if they're willing to move on me in broad daylight, they're coming for you next. He paused. We're both dead unless we work together. Zora's grip tightened on the phone. You threatened my sister. And you tried to destroy my empire. We're even. His voice dropped. Meet me. 1 hour. I'll send the location. Come alone. The line went dead. Mina was staring at her. You're not actually going. Zora stood. Checked her weapon. I am. He'll kill you. Maybe. Zora holstered the gun. Or maybe he's telling the truth. Either way, I need to know. She walked toward the door. Behind her, Mina whispered. If you don't come back, burn it all down, Zora said. Don't wait for me. The location Kenji sent was an industrial meatpacking plant in Red Hook. Abandoned. The kind of place where bodies disappeared into machinery and no one asked questions. Zora arrived armed. 416 Hong Kong dollars strapped to her back. Glock at her hip. Knife in her boot. She found Kenji in the walk-in freezer. He was sitting on a metal crate, blood soaking through his shirt. His left arm hung limp. A through-and-through gunshot wound, poorly bandaged. He looked up when she entered. You came. I'm stupid that way. Zora kept her distance. Her hand rested on her Glock. Talk. The council wants me dead, Kenji said. They've wanted me dead since I took over. I'm too young. Too modern. I don't respect the old ways. He grimaced, pressing a hand to his ribs. They've been waiting for an excuse. You gave them one. Good. No. Not good. Kenji's eyes were sharp despite the pain. Because if they kill me, they'll install someone worse. Someone who'll turn this organization into what it used to be. Trafficking. Slavery. The kind of evil I've spent 5 years trying to phase out. Zora laughed. Cold. You want me to believe you're the good guy? I want you to believe I'm the lesser evil. He stood, wincing. I framed you 5 years ago. I won't deny that. I needed a fall guy, and you were convenient. But I didn't destroy your life out of cruelty. I did it because the alternative was worse. Worse than ruining an innocent woman? Worse than letting a federal investigation uncover the council's human trafficking pipeline. His voice was steel. If that case had gone through, dozens of innocents would have been executed to tie up loose ends. I gave them you instead. Zora's hand tightened on her gun. You're lying. Am I? Kenji pulled a phone from his pocket. Swiped. Handed it to her. On the screen. Photos. Documents. Shipping manifests. Names. Faces. Girls. Some as young as 12. This is what the council was hiding, Kenji said. This is what I've spent 5 years dismantling. And if they take over again, it all comes back. Zora stared at the screen. Her stomach turned. You want justice? Kenji asked. Fine. Help me destroy them. Then you can destroy me. Zora looked up. Why should I trust you? Because I'm the only one who knows where Tokushi is meeting with the rest of the council tonight. He stepped closer. And because if you kill me now, you'll never stop them. Zora's finger hovered over the trigger. Then she lowered the gun. One move, she said. One lie. And I put a bullet in your skull. Kenji smiled. Blood on his teeth. Deal. The meeting was in a private room above a tea house in Chinatown. 6 council members. No guards. They thought they were untouchable. They were wrong. Zora and Kenji entered through the roof. She'd mapped the building 3 days prior, back when she thought she'd be planting evidence, not launching an assault. They moved in silence. Kenji, despite his injury, was efficient. Deadly. He'd been trained by the same men they were about to kill. Zora kicked the door open. 6 men looked up from a table covered in maps and ledgers. Tokushi's eyes widened. Kenji. Counselor. Kenji's voice was calm. Polite. I believe you have something that belongs to me. We have nothing that. Kenji shot him. Center mass. The old man collapsed, blood spreading across silk robes. Chaos erupted. 2 council members reached for weapons. Zora dropped them both. Clean shots. Shoulders. Knees. Non-lethal. The remaining 3 scrambled for the exit. Kenji blocked it. His gun didn't waver. Sit. Down. They sat. Zora walked to the table. Picked up the ledgers. Shipping routes. Accounts. Names. Everything they needed to dismantle the trafficking network. She pulled out her phone. Took photos. Sent them to 3 federal contacts simultaneously. You just signed our death warrants, one of the council members hissed. No, Zora said. I signed yours. Sirens wailed outside. She tipped off the FBI 10 minutes before they breached. Kenji looked at her. You called them. I did. They'll arrest me too. I know. Zora raised her gun. Pointed it at his chest. But I'm giving you a choice. Surrender and testify against the council. Or run and spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. Kenji stared at the barrel, then at her face. Slowly, he set his gun on the table. I'll testify. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. Federal agents. SWAT. The room flooded with bodies and shouted commands. Zora stepped back, hands raised, weapon on the ground. An agent cuffed Kenji. Another approached Zora. You're under arrest, the agent said. Zora nodded. I know. As they led her out, she locked eyes with Kenji one last time. He mouthed 2 words. Thank you. She didn't respond. 6 months later, Zora sat in a diner in Portland, sipping black coffee and reading the newspaper. The headline, Shinkwon Syndicate Dismantled. Federal Racketeering Trial Concludes. Kenji had testified. Given names, locations, bank accounts. In exchange, he'd received 20 years instead of life. The council members got worse. Zora's charges dropped. Witness immunity. Her record expunged. The federal case that ruined her life 5 years ago, officially vacated. She was free. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I kept my word. Did you keep yours? She knew who it was. Kenji. Probably a burner phone smuggled into prison. She typed back. I said I'd destroy the council. I never said I'd forgive you. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. No response. Zora finished her coffee. Left cash on the table. Walked out into the rain. She had a new name now. New ID. New life. But some ghosts never really disappeared. She pulled her hood up and walked into the grey morning, leaving no footprints behind. If this story kept you hooked, drop a comment below. Who do you think was the real villain? Zora? Kenji? The council? Let me know what you think, and if you want more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. I've got more coming that'll keep you up at night. See you in the next one.